Effects on Japanese prosody on English word production. Interaction between voicing and gemination by Kiyoko Yoneyama, Mafuyu Kitahara, and Keiichi Tajima. Now let's get started. Vowels tends to be longer before voice than voiceless consonants in many languages. In American English speakers, vowel duration is affected especially by the voicing of post-vocalic consonants and the quality of the vowel. In Japanese, a similar voicing effect has been observed in Japanese produced by adults as well as infants. It is also observed in English produced by Japanese learners of English, although the effects were substantially smaller than those reported for American English and were found only for advanced Japanese learners of English. The phonological structure of the original English word is altered to fit the phonological and molar-based prosodic structure of Japanese. Vowel insertion is one of the ways to simplify complex syllables. Post-vocalic stops sometimes undergo gemination. That is, many words borrowed from English are realized with a geminate in Japanese. This can be seen as the insertion of a moraic overstrand, keto, reflecting the molar-based prosodic structure of Japanese. Gemination in Japanese loanword is intricately conditioned by various factors such as tenseness and the stress in the source language. One question that arises in the context is the extent to which phonological and prosodic properties of the native language surface in the phonetic realization of words produced in a second language. Harada, Morishita, and Hiramada 2019 did a research on the effect of loanwords written in a katakana syllabary in English education. A wide range of issues in learning English under the effect of often misleading usage and pronunciation of loanwords are discussed. The effect of loanwords on the production of English words by learners is often a relatively uncultivated area in L2 phonetics. Generally, it is suspected that the Japanese loanwords lexicon may interfere with the production of English words by Japanese learners of English speakers. If so, then gemination in Japanese loanwords might influence the durational properties of segments in English words produced by Japanese learners. The purpose of this study is to investigate the degree to which post-vocalic voicing effects interact with gemination in loanwords in the phonetic realization of English words by JE speakers. Two hypotheses. Hypothesis 1. Voicing effects are observed for both American English and Japanese English productions because of general phonetic properties of post-vocalic voicing. Hypothesis 2. Japanese English productions are further affected by the putative geminatability of English loanwords in Japanese. Now we move to the production experiment. The corpus in this study was a subset of the English words spoken by Japanese speakers of English in Yoneyama and Kitahara 2014. The Japanese speakers of English group consisted of 15 participants, who were undergraduate students, graduate students, and a staff member at Daito Bunka and Waseda University in Tokyo, Japan. They were native speakers of Japanese, most of whom have no experience living in English-speaking countries for more than 3 months, and their English scores were in the range of between 450 and 750, and they didn't have any hearing difficulties. In addition to the English-Japanese speakers, 2 male speakers of American English participated as a control group. All participants had no hearing difficulties. The target items used in the current production study were 22 minimum pairs containing a post-vocalic voiceless consonant, for a total of 44 words. The minimum pairs were monosyllabic CBC pairs containing one of the 7 different vowels and ending with a voiced or voiceless consonant. The task was administered using prod. The participants were instructed to pronounce each target word embedded in a Korean sentence. Each target word was presented 2 times. The order of the stimuli was randomized, and a different unique randomization was conducted for each participant. If the participants made mistakes or hesitation within the sentence, they were instructed to repeat the trail sentences. Their productions were recorded with a high-quality microphone, were digitized at the 44.1 kHz sampling rate with the 16 bits quantization. The production experiment was self-paced, and thus the total duration of the experiment varied from approximately 15 minutes to 25 minutes.
Now we describe another experiment. English words are sometimes pronounced with a geminate consonant by Japanese speakers. This geminate insertion in English words is said to be triggered by vowel qualities. In order to check whether or not the target items used in the present study were treated by Japanese college students as containing a geminate consonant, a geminatability judgment experiment was conducted. The participants were 12 native Japanese speakers who were different from the speakers recorded in Yoneyama and Kitahara. They were shown the target English words on paper and were instructed to transcribe each word in katakana characters. The geminate rate, or the percentage of participants who transcribed the word with the geminate character, was calculated for each target word. We used the geminate rate to categorize each target word as geminate, mixed, or singleton. If the rate was 75% or greater, as in words such as back and bag, the word was categorized as a geminate word. If the rate was 25% or less, as in words like right and ride, the word was categorized as a singleton word. If the rate was intermediate, then the word was categorized as mixed. 5 target words were categorized as mixed. Table 1 shows the geminate rate for all the target words in the experiment. This table is also included in the paper. Now we move on to the analysis. Target words that were categorized as mixed were excluded. Also excluded were mispronounced tokens and tokens whose post-vocalic stops did not have a visible release burst. There were a total of 1,125 tokens that were analyzed. Duration of the vowel and the following stop-closure duration was measured using PROT, and then analyzed using linear mixed effects models. The fixed factors were speaker group, voicing of the word final stop, and geminatability as judged by the geminate rate. The random factors were by speaker and by word random intercepts, and by speaker random slopes for voicing and geminatability. The dependent variables were vowel duration and following stop-closure duration. Please see the paper for more details about the mixed effects models. Now we move on to the results. Figure 1 here shows box plots of vowel duration across different conditions. There was a significant main effect of voicing. Furthermore, there was a significant group by voicing interaction. Vowels were significantly longer before voiced than voiceless stops for both AE and JE groups, but the difference was larger for the AE group on the left compared to the JE group on the right. There was also a significant group by geminatability interaction. Vowels were significantly shorter before geminate than singleton consonants for the JE group, but this was not significant for the AE group. Figure 2 shows box plots of the post-vocalic stop-closure duration. There was a significant main effect of voicing. Closure duration was significantly longer for voiceless than voiced consonants.
Now let's turn to the results by vowel quality. Table 2 shows the mean vowel durations and stop-closure durations separately for target words with different vowels. Some of the cells in Table 2 are empty, indicating that some target words were consistently judged in the geminatability judgment experiment as either singleton or geminate. For example, for target words with voiceless word final stops, words containing I or E were consistently judged as singleton, whereas words containing E, E, A, or were judged as geminate. Such differences in vowel quality and geminatability are not associated with large differences in vowel or closure duration for AE speakers. In fact, Table 2 shows that target words with I or E have a mean vowel duration of 0.149 seconds and a mean closure duration of 0.188 seconds, while words with other vowels have a mean vowel duration of 0.14 seconds and a mean closure duration of 0.101 seconds. In contrast, JE speakers show a much larger difference in vowel duration between words with I or E and words with other vowels. The difference in closure duration is also somewhat larger for JE speakers than for AE speakers. For target words with voiced word final stops, Table 2 shows that words containing E, A, and A were judged as both singleton and geminate depending on the word. For AE speakers, such differences in geminatability once again are not associated with large differences in vowel duration and closure duration. On the other hand, for JE speakers, such differences in geminatability are associated with somewhat larger differences in vowel duration and closure duration. So let's move on to discussion and conclusion. In summary, the purpose of the present study was to investigate the voicing effects in production of English words by AE and JE, where the words are subcategorized by the geminatability in Japanese loanwords. Results demonstrated that AE speakers showed a systematic effect of voicing on vowel duration and following closure duration. For JE speakers, the two hypotheses put up in the beginning were supported, and there also was a secondary finding related to vowel quality. Details will follow. Hypothesis 1 was voicing effects are observed for both AE and JE productions because of general phonetic properties for post-vocalic voicing. For JE speakers, voicing effect was found on vowel duration, though the magnitude was much smaller than that found in AE speakers. JE speakers showed a significant effect of voicing on post-vocalic stop closure duration as well. Hypothesis 2 was JE productions are further affected by the putative geminatability of English loanwords in Japanese, where geminatability means native Japanese speakers' intuitions about the presence or absence of geminate in Japanese loanwords. JE speakers showed a systematic effect of geminatability on vowel duration, but not stop closure duration, which is in support of hypothesis 2. This may in turn suggest that the phonological and prosodic structure of English loanwords in Japanese, in particular the phonological factors that predict the presence or absence of a moric obstruent in loanwords, exerts an influence on the production of English words by Japanese speakers. And from a practical standpoint, we may be able to apply this finding to improve fluency of JE speech. A secondary finding of this study is that JE speakers produced a much larger durational distinction between so-called long vowels and short vowels than do native AE speakers. Such exaggerated distinctions may override the effect of voicing-related vowel lengthening, which again suggests that prosodic organization, in this case the moric status of vowels in loanwords, constrains the English pronunciation of the target words by JE. So in conclusion, the results indicated that hypothesis 1 was supported, the voicing effect in AE was clearly observed, but the effect in JE was much smaller. Hypothesis 2 was also supported, which actually compensated for the lack of voicing effect in JE, because the vowel duration was further modulated by the existence of geminates in the loanword counterpart in the Japanese lexicon. Further research is needed to understand the complex relationship among loanword production, English production, and L1 phonology or prosody. Here's the acknowledgements and the references. Thank you very much.